All right, and we should be live.
Hello and welcome to the Capitola Planning Commission meeting of June 2nd, 2022. In accordance with the current Santa Cruz County Health Order and the Governor's Executive Order N-2920, this meeting is not physically open to the public. Commissioners and staff are meeting via Zoom, and there are several ways for the public to watch and participate. Information on how to join the meeting using Zoom or a landline/mobile phone, along with how to submit public comment during the meeting tonight, is available on our website, cityofcapitola.org, on the slides now shown, and on the published meeting agenda. As always, this meeting is cablecast live on Charter Communications, Cable TV Channel 8, and AT&T UVerse Channel 99, and is being recorded and to be replayed the following Monday and Friday at 1 on Charter Channel 71 and Comcast Channel 25. Meetings can also be viewed live on our city's website, and our technicians tonight are Olivia and Brian. So with that, we can open this meeting with the roll call. Can we have roll call, please? Louis?
Yes, please. Yep. Commissioner Christensen?
Here.
Commissioner Newman?
Here.
Commissioner Westman?
Here.
Commissioner Ruth?
Here.
Chair Wilk?
Here. Move on to item 2, oral communications. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda tonight?
No, just one quick announcement. The Community Development Director is not going to be at the meeting, so I'll be serving as the acting director for the meeting tonight.
Good luck with that, Brian. All right, we'll move on then to public comments. This is an opportunity for the public to make a short comment on items that are not on the agenda. Brian, do we see any hands raised or emails regarding public comments?
No emails. No hands raised.
Okay, so nothing that is not on the agenda. How about commission comments? Are there commissioners who wish to comment on something that is not on tonight's agenda? Oh, let me go to gallery view to see if anybody's hands are raised. Can I do that? No, I don't know how to do that. I'm going to assume no one's hands are raised and therefore move on to staff comments. Staff, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Why can't I do that? Okay, I can leave. Yeah, that's how I can do that. All right. Okay, then we'll move on to item 3 on the agenda, approval of the minutes. We have 2 meeting minutes, items A and B. Why don't we try taking them both at once? Are there any comments or anybody want to make a motion on minutes approval?
This is Commissioner Westman. I would make a motion to approve the minutes for April 7th and for April 21st, 2002.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Westman and a second by Commissioner Ruth. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none. Shall we take a vote? Let's vote on this. Can we have a roll call vote, please, Louis?
Yes, please. Commissioner Christensen?
Aye.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Commissioner Westman?
Aye.
Commissioner Ruth?
Aye.
Chair Wilk?
Aye. Minutes are approved. Let's move on now to the consent calendar. There are 2 items on the consent calendar. Does anybody in the public or in the commissioners wish to remove any of these items from the consent calendar? Brian, are there any hands raised on that?
No emails, no hands raised.
Okay, then are there any discussions on this that we wish to bring up?
I'd move approval of the consent items.
I'll second it. Commissioner Westman.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Ruth and a second by Commissioner Westman. If there are no other comments, why don't we go ahead and take a roll call vote. on approval of the consent calendar. Louis, can we have a roll call vote?
Yes, please. Commissioner Christensen,
Aye.
Commissioner Newman,
Aye.
Commissioner Westman,
aye,
Commissioner Root,
Aye.
Chair Will.
Aye. Consent calendar is approved unanimously. Well, let's move on to public hearings. We have one item on the agenda, which is 4800 Opal Cliff Drive. Staff, do we have a presentation?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Wilk. I'll be delivering the staff presentation. We have a slideshow for you. So 4800 Opal Cliff, this is before the commission with two entitlement requests, a coastal development permit and a conditional use permit. The site is actually located right at the city boundary. And you can see in the upper right corner of the photo here, this is the three-way intersection of Opal Cliffs Drive and Cliff Drive. And specifically related to this request is some repair work to a shotcrete bluff wall. The approximate area of the wall face is about 6,500 square feet and was originally constructed in 1998 with a larger project that also included the bluff toe seawall that you see below. But to be very clear tonight, there's no proposal associated with the seawall, just the shotcrete bluff top wall. This photo is from an inspection report that was prepared by the applicant's engineer. And it helps define what's actually being proposed in terms of the physical work on site. So I've highlighted, this is the up coast side of the wall in blue. There's a bit of overspray of the original constructed shotcrete wall. And the proposal is to cut that back and make it flush and reduce some of the erosion that's happening behind it. And then there is a 22 square foot section shown here. It's 11 by 2 as described in the inspection report. It's at the base of the shotcrete wall and has been deteriorating and lost some debris down onto the beach. My shapes here are relatively of scale. Probably that rectangle is not of the exact shape, but it would have to conform to the bottom of the wall and is approximately the right size. I'll also point out the person standing there at the base of the wall just so you can get an idea of the scale. Other area of repair, this is toward the middle of the wall at the base is a 30 square foot area. There's a void that is documented in the inspection report that has also fallen away. And the proposal is to dowel into the base of the existing shotcrete wall and add new shotcrete. Additionally, with the proposal is a maintenance and monitoring agreement. And so this would be a recorded with the property, an agreement between the property owner and the city. And the template that is attached to the staff report was based on a template that had been used with a prior project with the county. Coastal Commission staff and city staff both did several rounds of edits on it. One of the trade-offs is, and the Coastal Commission was interested in this, is that every 5 years we would get an inspection and monitoring report. And the trade-off for the property owner is that for minor repairs such as this, they wouldn't necessarily have to go back before the commission if the community development director determined the repairs to be maintenance. Just wanted to tie back. This is a little outside of our usual business. So I've got a couple of slides that talk about code and policy and what led us to our recommendation. So tying this back to why is a coastal development permit required? I've listed the code section here. So a bluff retaining wall and associated maintenance that requires permanent construction materials is a trigger for a coastal development permit. And then conditional use permit, an accessory structure in the environmental sensitive habitat area is the trigger for the use permit as well. The 1998 approval included a use permit. So this is an amendment there too. The land use plan of the local coastal program, there was a couple of policies that are pertinent to the proposal. Roman 7-7. This is talking about beach and bluff erosion specific to bluff and cliff top development. shall be approved only if design and setback provisions are adequate to assure stability and structural integrity for expected economic lifespan at least 50 years. So tying it back here, our conclusion was the wall was built in 1998. It's in year 24 of its life cycle, and the maintenance is appropriate. Romans 7-9 goes on.
Can we
to talk.
stop? Can we interrupt there?
Yeah.
When I look at that policy, it looks to me like that's about building a house above the bluff rather than stabilizing the bluff.
Yeah, I would respond to that by saying that that this wall is also defined as development in the zoning ordinance, the coastal overlay.
Okay.
But yeah, and also to even elaborate further, there was no specific policy or section that specifically talks about this situation. So it is a bit of a tying a couple of policies together to make a determination and ultimately a recommendation. So understood. As far as policies, Romans 7 and 9, it talks about shoreline structures shall be permitted only to serve coastal dependent uses and to protect existing development. Shall be permitted only if non-structural solutions have proved to be infeasible. So our conclusion was, with the wall being built in 1998, that determination had been made at that time. The wall is existing and protecting existing development, and therefore the maintenance is also appropriate with this policy. Just highlighting a couple of the specific conditions. This is just some paraphrasing. I've added condition number 9. This specifies an aquatic herbicide. There's going to be a requirement to remove some invasive pampas grass, but the method would be just to cut off at the root top and apply an herbicide. So the Coastal Commission wanted to make sure it was an aquatic type of herbicide. Condition 10, there was some noted in the inspection report, some debris on the beach. This could actually happen anytime. There's a requirement that that be removed. And then we added a condition to comply with the Migratory Bird Treaty. So there's some protections around the bird nesting season and protocols if work is going to happen within the nesting season. And then lastly would be the shotcrete to match existing color and texture. That just about does it. One other point I'd like to make is I noted the wall surface is 6,500 square feet. And collectively, this is a 52 square feet of area. It's less than 2.5 or just about 2.5 cubic yards of material. So it's a relatively minor project in the overall scheme of construction, but there's layers of policy here and the Coastal Commission being involved. So we're before the Planning Commission. I do understand the applicant wants to make a brief statement, and that's the conclusion of my report, and I can take any questions.
Are there any questions of staff on the presentation? Oh, let me get my hands up, see if anybody's raising their hands. Commissioner Westman.
Yes. I just wanted to make certain that I understand what's happening where the pampas grass is growing through. So those areas, the grass is just going to be cut back and an herbicide is going to be used to kill the pampas grass. But it seems like in those areas, the pampas grass is broken through the shotcrete, so there'd be a hole there. Are those going to be repaired as well, or are they just going to leave that?
Yes, with the proposal tonight, it's just as I defined. So the applicant can talk about potentially if there's a future plan for those, but that's not part of the proposal.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? I have a couple questions. This 1998 approval, it talks about a 50-year structure. Could it be interpreted that since it didn't last 50 years, that the whole agreement is null and void? I mean, it's not a 50-year structure, so well, let's see what happens when the 50 years runs out.
Yeah,
You got it.
I'm
Brian?
glad we have a lawyer present because I just.
sure.
wanna
Go ahead,
have-
Leila.
Yeah. So typically in agreements like that, when you talk about a 50-year structure, that doesn't preclude repairs or maintenance. It's sort of anticipating that the structure itself will be viable, for a period of 50 years, provided that, adequate repair and maintenance is conducted. And then at the 50-year mark is typically when, you would look at things like potentially replacing the structure entirely or demolishing it.
So that brings up my next question, which is this maintenance agreement, which I guess the terms minor repairs are involved. Who determines what a minor repair is? Let's say at year 30, the thing is completely crumbling and they quote repair it by reconstructing it. Would that come before the planning commission, or is that considered a minor repair, or is that TBD?
Yeah, as it's written, it's the determination of the community development director. I mean, I would say that this part of that determination would be to probably look back through records and to see how delicately this was handled. I would think that would be part of the decision. So it's left to the determination. There's not actually any like measurable specific sense of what percentage of the wall or.
So by agreeing, let me may understand. So if we agree to this maintenance agreement, then they could maintain that wall in perpetuity without ever coming back in front of the planning commission. Is that correct?
For minor maintenance, yes. And they would also have to continue with their inspection and monitoring program.
So what about after 50 years? It wouldn't come after up to the planning commission to review after 1998 50-year agreement is expired?
Yeah, as it's written right now, there's no sunsetting provision or expiration of the agreement.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of staff? All right, let's move on then. Susan Westman, your hand is still up. I assume that's just
Sorry,
vestigial.
it's going down.
Okay. Next, I guess we'll move on then to public comment. You said the applicant wishes to make a statement.
Yes. Gonna turn on the microphone now, Deidre.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we have you. Thank you.
Thank you. So yes, my name is Deidre Hamilton, and I am the property owner's representative on this matter. I don't have a presentation as such, but I do want to answer some of the questions and comments and maybe give a little background and texture to the conversation that your commission is having. I actually started working on this in 2020. It started out as an application to do some minor repairs on this seawall, and not just the upper portion, but the entire wall. And George Drew, who I believe is also on the Zoom call and is the contractor that is going to be doing the work. And Susan, later on, we can have him answer your question about the pampas grass. But he got in touch with me because previous to this, he had done some minor repair work on the wall, had gone to the city of Capitola, and had been given a grading permit to do some minor repairs on the wall. But when he went in this time, he had been told that he not only needed to get a grading permit, but he needed a coastal permit. And at that juncture, he needed to get a coastal permit from the Coastal Commission. So he brought me in to help him with that particular entitlement. So my first conversation was with the Coastal Commission, with Rainey at the Coastal Commission. We went through and we dug through all of the entitlements that had gone through the city of Capitola, as well as through the Coastal Commission itself. And as Brian outlined to you, there have been a permit issued for the 1998 permit that was issued. It had actually been appealed to the Coastal Commission. There were some additional studies and work that had to be done. That appeal was withdrawn and the permit that was issued by Capitola was reinstated. At that time, as you mentioned, there was a 50-year lifespan that didn't necessarily sunset. It didn't mean that the wall was to go away in 50 years. But when you give an approval for a coastal protection structure, it has to last at least 50 years. So when they grant an approval, the engineer that is designing that structure has to guarantee that it will last at least 50 years. And the attorney is correct. That also assumes that there will be maintenance and repair done over that period of time in order to ensure that that 50-year lifespan can be realized. So over the 50-year span with maintenance and repair, there shouldn't be any difficulty. At the end of the 50 years, if you get another 50 years out of it, you know, that's looked at as bonus years. That would be excellent. But the work is guaranteed to last 50 years, and the approval is based on a minimum of a 50-year lifespan. The other thing that I want to mention is the maintenance agreement, the maintenance and monitoring agreement is a requirement that came through our discussions with the Coastal Commission. It wasn't something that came from us organically. We originally, when we were talking with the Coastal Commission, they wanted to originally take jurisdiction of this whole thing. And I'm sure you've had experiences dealing with the Coastal Commission. We probably wouldn't, even though this took 2 years to get to this point, to do, what was it, 26, 27 square feet of maintenance and repair, it probably would have taken us 10 years to get this far with the Coastal Commission. So we decided that it wasn't worth the time, effort, or expense to go through that. So because the area in question, one, it had been approved and entitled by the city of Capitola, and two, it was above mean high tide line, Capitola could take jurisdiction of this area. So Rainey, and she checked with her superiors, of course, agreed that if we only focus our application on this one section of the wall, and if we agree to a maintenance and monitoring agreement to go along with the application, then they would not appeal that to the Coastal Commission, because that was in keeping with the way that they themselves issue permits when they do their coastal permits. And the purpose of doing a maintenance and monitoring agreement is so that these sorts of minor repairs, it really isn't necessary to have this sort of review to remove pampas grass. It's a little bit ridiculous. So in order to have things move along more expeditiously, you submit your maintenance and monitoring plan to the planning director. The planning director, along with either a geotechnical engineer or a geologist, reviews it. The plan is prepared by an engineer, so it's not just something that's written on the back of a napkin. It is a professionally prepared plan. That plan is reviewed. If in the view of your staff, this is something that warrants coming before the Planning Commission, then of course it will not be approved as maintenance and monitoring. It is something that would have to be an amendment to the permit. But if it's simply just a piece of rock fell off, let's say a piece of the shotcrete fell down and needs to be repaired, or that pampas grass that we were talking about that needs to be cut away and herbicide needs to be put in. I don't think you really need to have that go back to the Planning Commission again for an amendment to the permit. That can be done as ordinary maintenance and repair and shouldn't really be considered development under a new permit. So that's really the purpose of the maintenance and the monitoring agreement. It's very ordinary these days to have this sort of maintenance and monitoring agreement. And actually that one came from a project that I worked on for the County of Santa Cruz. I've done about 3 or 4 of those for the County of Santa Cruz on various projects. And I've also done them in the City of Santa Cruz. And I've done a couple for the Coastal Commission projects as well. So these aren't unusual at all. They're pretty commonplace nowadays. And I can answer any other questions you might have about them, and any other questions you have on the project. And if, George, if you're there, if you can raise your hand, or I think he may be on the phone. I'm not sure how to tell him to do it for the phone, but he might be able to answer Commissioner Westman's question about the pampas grass. I think the answer is the intent is to cut the pampas grass off, apply the herbicide, and to close up the crack there. But how the crack is going to be closed up, he'd have to answer that for you. I don't know technically how it's going to be done.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hamilton. Are there any questions of Ms. Hamilton while she's on the line? Very good. That was very, very helpful and instructive. Thank you. Are there any, Brian, are there any other comments from the public?
I'm not seeing any other hands raised and no emails.
All right. If there are no more public comments, we'll move on then to Planning Commission deliberation. Anybody wish to make a comment on this proposal? Seeing no hands raised, I have a concern. You brought up, Brian, you brought up that illustration of the cliffside, and that just disturbed me. I realize that this is a maintenance. This is something that's already been established. We're not creating a new structure here. It was already approved in 1998. Nevertheless, I think it's not in the spirit of the LCP. LCP talks about scenic and visual qualities of coastal areas shall be considered and protected as a resource of public importance. And they are to minimize the alteration of the landforms. I worry about what's going to happen on Depot Hill as that cliffside continues to erode and it starts to reach property lines. Are we going to suddenly approve Shot Creek all along that cliffside as well? England's got their White Cliffs of Dover. Is Capitola going to have their Shot Creek Cliffs of Capitola? It bothers me that we're heading down a path, or continuing to head down a path that the Coastal Commission, they would like to weigh in on this, but they backed off. I'd just as soon hear what the Coastal Commission's attitude is. I mean, I know it's controversial, but they talk about managed retreat. this seems like a mismanaged retreat to me, with regards to rising tides and climate change. So having said all that, I find it difficult to find a real rationale to disapprove this. I mean, I would like to, but it's pretty solid case. It's an owner who just wants to maintain their property, and there's plenty of precedent. And this is by far not the first or even the most egregious instance of armoring the cliffside. So I just, those are just my comments. I'm willing to hear any other comments or a motion. We have some hands raised. Good. Commissioner Newman.
Okay, yeah, I had my hand raised in the old-fashioned way, and that didn't work. So
The problem is I don't have a
no
gallery
wonder.
view.
Okay.
I don't have gallery view, so I can't see your face. So I only have this participant thing up.
All right. Well, okay. So I guess I'll respond to your comment, which is really sort of ties in with what I was going to say. Is that this is a very different hat we're wearing than we usually wear in our meetings when we're dealing with buildings being built in Capitola. And we're really enforcing the Coastal Commission Act as it intersects with our LCP. And the Coastal Commission has an appeal rights over those kinds of decisions in general, and they are much stricter than I think we have ever been in terms of enforcing the goals of the Coastal Act. So if they signed off on this, then it seems to me that I don't really see what issue we have. As far as future armoring, I mean, it's so difficult to get a permit to do that now that I don't think you need to be concerned that this is opening the door to more armoring of the hills, of the bluffs. So I just think we follow the Coastal Commission on this. If they approve it, I don't see any reason not to, but I do technically find the maintenance agreement a little bit in need of polish. And I would recommend that the city attorney do one more review of that, just in terms of the sort of the draftsmanship of it. That doesn't go to the substance of the agreement. I don't have any comments on the substance.
Were you suggesting that portion of the proposal be removed from a motion, like you had meant?
No. I'm throwing it out as a just kind of a suggestion that there are some. I mean, there are misspellings. There are some references, and I think it was a layman must have had a hand in that, in taking it from another document. That's how it strikes me.
Yes, Commissioner, the city attorney's office would be happy to review that document.
Yeah, I think it needs, not to say that attorneys are the only ones that can draft documents or at all, but I think this one could use a little bit of help.
Thank you, Commissioner Newman. I hope you're right about the armoring of the hillsides. I see Commissioner Westman has her hand raised. Susan?
Yes, actually, Commissioner Newman made most of the comments that I was going to make. It seems that this was a project that was approved in 1998. And at this point, all we're talking about is some maintenance of that project. And I think we all understand that anything constructed that's supposed to last for 50 years needs maintenance. Even if it's the Golden Gate Bridge, they have to constantly maintain that to keep it standing. So I would like to make a motion to approve the project and include in that motion that the agreement be reviewed by the city attorney's office prior to it being signed. So that's a
Second.
motion to approve the
I'll-
project with the staff conditions and including Mr. Newman's request that the city attorney review the maintenance agreement.
I'll second the motion.
It was a race to second.
I think
I guess-
Commissioner Ruth beat me.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Westman and a second by Commissioner Ruth. Is
Chair
there
Wilk.
any further discussion on this motion before we take a vote?
Yes, Chair Wilk, I just wanted to clarify. Again, the city attorney's office would be happy to take a look at that agreement. We can certainly make cleanup changes, but we would not be changing any of the substance of the agreement, just to clarify, so that it will match what is being approved tonight, at least on substance, and we'll just make sure that it's a little bit cleaner.
That's certainly what I intended.
Is that okay, Commissioners Westman and Ruth?
Yes,
Okay. If there's no further discussion, Louis, could we have a roll call vote?
Yes, please. Commissioner Christensen,
Aye.
Commissioner Newman,
Aye.
Commissioner Westman,
aye.
Commissioner Ruth,
Aye.
Chair Wilk.
A reluctant aye. Passes unanimously. Good luck with your project. Okay, let's move on to Director's Report. Item 6 on the agenda. Do we have a Director's Report?
Yeah, just one update is that we are agendized for the outdoor dining ordinance to be reviewed by the Coastal Commission on June 10th.
Okay. That's just the staff and the Coastal Commission? There's no,
Yes. Yep.
that's not a public meeting?
Oh, no, it is the public meeting. It's their review.
And that's going to be, is that listed on our calendar of events?
We received a notice. I can send that, I can forward that to the commissioners.
I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope, nothing else.
All right, let's go to item 7, Commission Communications. If anybody wish to make any last minute comments? If not, Nick, I think you're going to get your wish for a short meeting.
I figured it would be.
Okay, with that, we will adjourn. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next.